Hi, this is Dr. Pedram Shojai, founder of Well.org and the producer of the Vitality movie, here with you on Module 3 for Sleep and Mindset. This is really where the rubber hits the road, you guys, because when we deal with patients in a clinical setting or we deal with clients over at Well.org, everyone wants to lose weight. Everyone's saying, okay, what exercise can I do to get my six-pack and get ripped? Or what diet can you give me that's going to get me to lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks and get ready for the prom or whatever it is that we're doing? And so there's a lot of products and services that really focus in on the diet and exercise space. Some of them are very good and we like them, we recommend them. Some of them, not so great, right? And so chances are you've encountered some of the not so great ones. That's just the way of things. What we're about is purity, and what we're about is making sure that we get you quality content, quality information that's useful, that can help you in your life. So when we talk about sleep, one of the key ingredients in life is sleep. And it's really the first thing to go in our culture, right? We'll cheat sleep all the time. Whatever, I lost some sleep, I'll make it up this weekend. And weekend comes around, you got things to do. You got honeydews, you got parties, you got whatever it is, whatever phase you are in life. Weekends get spent like cash in the pocket. They just fly, it just flies right out, right? And so that's where we end up having to borrow, right? We borrow from tomorrow's energy today. We borrow using our adrenals, we borrow with caffeine, we borrow however we can to make up for the deficit, if you will, of energy that we don't get in sleep. What happens in sleep? Neuro-regenerative processes, basically all of the crazy things that happen today. Tonight my brain's going to make sense of them all, so tomorrow I can start a day fresh, clear-headed, and not behind the ball, right? Not falling back in life, not stumbling through life, starting my day with fresh energy, not worried about yesterday's woes, right? If you look at sleep and a balanced amount of sleep, your level of activity and your level of sleep temper each other, they balance each other. But what happens in this universe of sleep debt is we have a certain amount of sleep that doesn't account for our activity level, so that the rest of it we borrow, right? We take that energy from the caffeine, we take that energy from our adrenals, we basically take years off the end of our life if we're not careful. And this is where a lot of the metabolic diseases come in. This is where a lot of the appetite issues come in with satiety. We have these things called leptins in the brain. It has to do with whether or not we feel satisfied, whether or not we feel like we got to keep eating and gorging and shoveling food in our face. And a lot of this stuff gets regulated in our sleep as well. What else gets regulated? Our growth hormone. Basically, the ability of the body to regenerate and heal itself and to grow tissue. That happens at night. It happens when we're down, right? Our minds are working so hard all day that we need to shut down so that the system can repair itself, and we're not really getting that. So the REM sleep is where we get psychologically cleared up and figure out how do we trim the neurons in our brain that we don't need so that we can move on to the next day. Deeper sleep gives us really what we need in growth hormone. And then the melatonin that gets secreted is a very powerful immune modulator. So it helps us with our immune system. Think about it this way. You get sick, what do? You sleep it off, right? So life is this string of sickness and in health. And what we do is we fight and we stumble and we charge, forgetting about yesterday's woes, forgetting about the things that are happening. It's like we have a bloody leg and a bullet wound in our shoulder, and we're just marching right along, trying to get through our days because the show must go on, and that's how we live our lives, right? And so what we're going to do through the Vitality Challenge is train you guys in how to get good quality sleep to heal yourself better. But here's the real big nuts and bolts piece of this, right? This is for you, and this is something I really want you to walk away with, is basic sleep hygiene goes a long way. If you have trouble sleeping, stop drinking caffeine. If you can't get away from caffeine in the mornings, at least stop taking it after noon, right? And we'll start kind of working you into ways to addressing your adrenal issues so that can get healed and not brushed under the carpet. Okay, so caffeine is a big one. Another one is having media, even this thing right here, right? You don't want blue or white light hitting your forehead, your pineal gland at night. It triggers the brain to say, hey, it's daytime. We need to go out and harvest food and take care of ourselves, because that's what happens a million years ago as we started evolving and kind of growing into the species that we've become today. We went to bed at night. and we hunkered down and we rested, and when the sun came up, we went and scattered and looked for food and took care of business. And so artificial light on the forehead triggers us to go into the same type of neurochemistry, which wakes us up at night. Okay, so those two are really important. So I am not a fan of having TV in the bedroom. TV is also an artificial light. It also fills your head with a bunch of nonsense, which is being fed to you and fed to your dream state, which really gets you to be less rested and more agitated through your dream state, and that's not what we want. Poor sleep leads to obesity, higher cancer risk, heart disease, diabetes. These are things that are tanking Western civilization, and we need to look at those because the balancing of our hormones also happens there. The cortisol that we borrow for the bank that we borrow from all day and drawing on our cortisol when our blood sugar isn't stable, a lot of those issues will basically get reset and helped out by getting better sleep as well. So these are things that we need to address and look at. There's a lot of kind of programs and things that we can kind of pull together for you, but the core of it, the crux of it is cool, dark place, no caffeine. The bedroom is for sleep and making love. That's it. Okay, and as we start getting into different types of technologies, we have a number of brainwave technologies that we like for sleep that we'll have in a resources section for you. Meditation is key. I meditate every night before I go to bed. It's the only way I can shut down. I run 4 companies. I have, my practice. I have well.org. I do a lot of things, right? And so for me to go to bed with all of the things that are booting in my mind and take that into my dream state, I'm not going to sleep very well, okay? And so we'll teach you how to meditate. We have a couple of those as free resources for you as well. Because really, when we step into the realm of stress now, what you need to know is that we have the sympathetic system and our parasympathetic nervous system. And it's fight, flight, fornicate, right? It's basically our system of get in and get out of a situation. And so it's our stress system is the sympathetic nervous system that really gets us to engage in trying to be hyper alert because there's a crisis. And a lot of us live there, right? A lot of us live in this crisis situation. A lot of us are really locked in with our heels dug in to always looking over our shoulder because we know that something is going to happen. The other shoe's going to drop. We're going to open up some bill and there's going to be some unexpected payment and or the kids, out for, some high school thing, and are they going to come home or are they going to get into some car wreck? I mean, we're always agitated. And so one of the merits of learning how to breathe and doing lower abdominal breathing is tapping into the parasympathetic nervous system, because this is an on or off switch, really. If you're in sympathetic, you're out of parasympathetic and vice versa. So if I can get you to trigger your parasympathetic nervous system through deep belly breathing and really kind of calming down, going through some techniques that are tried and true and proven, I can get you to start switching over your neurochemistry. I can get you to start adapting better to stress. And so one of the things that we have is called 4-count breathing, and I'll go over it real quickly with you, is touching the tongue to the roof of your mouth. What we're going to do is we're going to breathe in nose and out nose. We're going to inhale for the count of 4 down to our lower belly, okay? And we're going to hold that for 2 seconds. Then we're going to exhale for the count of 4 and hold that for 2 seconds. Okay, just a basic 4 in, 4 out with a 2 pause in between. If you were to just start doing that, okay, this is a gem. This is something I picked from the Buddhist tradition, and I've studied with everyone. I mean, I studied with the Dalai Lama. I was a monk for 4 years. I'm a Taoist priest. I'm a Hospitaller Knight. I've been around this block, okay, so I'm the guy that can tell you this. It's not that I just read some self-help book. This is what I've lived and breathed my whole life. But the simple stuff is really where we can hang our hat, and then we can get into the deeper esoteric stuff, if it's even relevant, right, as need be, right? But what we want to do is we really want to trigger the breath to get us into that parasympathetic nervous system, and then as we do that, we can also work into areas of, like, say, the heart to open up and be thankful for what we have, count our blessings, open up the forgiveness in our heart, and that actually secretes oxytocin. Oxytocin helps us feel more connected to other human beings. It's what the mother has a huge dose of when the baby's born. It's the maternal love for the baby. It's really tied to the oxytocin. And these are all things that we can neurochemically release inside of ourselves to make us feel better, feel happier, and feel more clear as we go through and engage in this thing called the monkey mind. What we consider the monkey mind is, the chatter that's always happening. We always have stress, we always have stuff going on, and we don't know how to deal with it. No one in our culture was taught how to meditate. No one was taught how to relax. No one was taught how to do any of these things, unless you were fortunate enough to maybe go to some karate school and have a teacher who actually got it, right? But that wasn't part of the ethos of our culture, and so now we're here trying to learn it. We're reading a bunch of books, we're following gurus and all this stuff. And you know what, don't go giving all your money to some guy wearing a turban or someone who's gets you to dress up in something because now you need to belong to some order or some this or that. That stuff is the animal mind, kind of us needing to belong, which is great in some ways, but you want to be very careful about that, because all you really need is to learn how to engage in your own consciousness, right? You need to learn how to tap into your own sense of peace, and then you can look at things with a clear mind instead of always saying, what does this person have for me? How can this person help me? What we're trying to do, and what the core of our mission here at well.org is to empower you to be able to help yourself. To not need anyone or anything, but to be able to draw on that vitality from within, because you have learned how to tap it, and then it's your birthright, right? It's something that you just forgot how to engage in, and that's a big part of how we kind of structure our education, because we want it to be empowering for you. So as you start to look at the circumstances in your life, you have to understand that 90% of the chronic conditions, according to the CDC, that happen in the United States at least, are due to stress. They're stress related. If I were to tell you that I can cure diabetes, 70% of the hospital visits in this country would go away. If I were to tell you I could cure stress, which I can't, 90% of all the chronic diseases would go away. The healthcare industry would basically, be left for people getting hit by buses and a few kind of genetic disorders and things, right? So what the problem is in the Western world is a problem of stress, diet, exercise, and sleep. It's a lifestyle problem that we've engaged in that's sinking us and making us lack our vitality and not feel well. So the one thing that we want to really engage in with this sleep and this mindset module, mini module, if you will, is to understand that you need the rest for tomorrow, right? You need to always gather energy so you could have it for the next day. And the mental processes and the stress that become the filter between us and reality is where we get a lot of inefficiency and we lose a lot of our energy. We're always wrestling with reality. We're always trying to find our place in reality instead of being comfortable wiggling our toes on the ground and being comfortable in our own bodies, okay? So practicing this meditation becomes a key part of this, and understanding that you rest when you're tired instead of self-medicate when you're tired becomes a big part of it, because we're trying to get you out of that trap. We're trying to wake you up to where health really comes from, and it doesn't come in a pill, right? It comes from within. So this being module 3, we're going to step into kind of now the solutions of how to unlock the vitality in each of these categories in the next module. Because if I could eke out some vitality from my diet, if I can get better efficiency in my exercise, if I get better sleep quality and be able to generate more energy at night and restore and rejuvenate, and if I could get kind of clear out of some of these psychological things that are always weighing me down and the stresses that are always making me worry, then I have vitality kind of coming out of each of these departments, if you will, in life, and I can use that to then make better decisions and live the life of my dreams and do the things that I want to do, whether it's climb Kilimanjaro or lift my grandkid or whatever it ends up being, right? So stand by for module 4. We're going to get into the nitty gritty. We're going to roll up our sleeves and we're going to show you how to get going with this, making the subtle changes in diet and exercise and all the things that we've been talking about, so we can kind of put it together for you and help you help yourself. We do have a couple programs at the end. They are voluntary, right? We're here to help you. If the programs make sense to you, we encourage you to jump on. People tend to do really well with them. But our goal here, again, is to be of service, and I look forward to serving you in Module 4.